Got the body back on tonight. The help of these two. I'm still waiting on the step panels, so I think they should be here Friday. Tomorrow I put this back seat in with the mounts. These are the original mounts, and I think I need to move them back 6 inches, which is going to put this tab flush with this panel here. So my bracket's probably just going to extend out and then come down. So remake that. I put some boards back there just to give me spacing, and should give me enough clearance here. So this is the original seat out of the 97 Dodge. I wanted this seat in here because it folds up. I'm gonna squash this cat. That way I can put my tools and everything else in here and have a little bit more space if I need it. I got the dash set in here. I'll need to cut this out yet. It won't fit all the way down with because it's hitting there. I'm getting ready to measure for, or I have been trying to measure for the vintage air. I'm going to go ahead and pre-order that so I can weld tabs to mount the vintage air system on the firewall before I paint and do my soundproofing and heat proofing with that lizard skin. So that's the update for tonight. I guess I gotta work on this too. Put the steering column in. Look what arrived on Friday. The new step rocker panel, and it looks like it will fit pretty good. It did have a little bit of a discrepancy where this side, you can see that edge that's bent up is higher than this side. So I'm gonna have to match the body line. So that means the step's gonna be just a hair higher, but I think we should have enough clearance for the door anyway. And I got 4 of them, but I don't know if I'm gonna replace this one yet. I know I'm gonna use the rocker on it though, because it's completely shot. So once I start cutting that back, I'll figure it out then. So it does have a little bit of rust on this back corner that I can just easily patch up. We do have some guests coming over. Hey, you paying attention? They're watching you. Some guys from work to help with the truck. So we'll see what we can put them to work on. Well, my helpers already left. They stayed for lunch. That's it for them. Dang nabbit. But we got this panel here made, which is starting to take shape. And this is going to be the inner support structure. Let's see if I can get it up here. Like so. And this will need to be bent to match that before welding it in. So yeah, I just need to clean this up, all this inside, and start fitting some metal. I might go ahead and cut this rocker panel out back here, since it needs to come out anyway, and I'm gonna have to blend this in. So I probably need to get that line right first. I went ahead and straightened that flange out. It's still stretched after pounding on it. I need to shrink it a little bit more just to get that wave out. Once I put the new bend in it, it should straighten up pretty good. I'm gonna have to figure out where exactly to put the new bend, because it is angled, it's tapered, just a slight taper. And I'm thinking that's factory because it's that way on both sides, but it could be just because I bent this and, you know, did my own thing with it. The bottom rocker also isn't anywhere close to being they're straight. So I mean, you can see how much further it has to bend. So I'm gonna have to figure that out too. Got the support brace inside the step piece fitted and clamped on. I'm just gonna do a few spot welds, and then on my outer panel, which is this rocker panel, I'm gonna add more and hopefully burn through all of the 3 pieces. I'll probably just, once I drill these holes out on this rocker panel, pre-drill them slightly here, and that way I'll get good penetration. I did use the shrinker stretcher and had an S-curve in here, so I'll spot weld it there and on the bottom, and then I can spot weld probably just 4 welds here on top. I'll just mark it and set the welder up on a higher temperature and not pre-drill it, just weld it down. Hopefully it'll get flat. The first step panel is officially tacked in. I didn't do the best fitment on the back side, so I already spotted the original panel in. You can see where all my spot welds, I kind of followed that path and had to dip below my original spot welds because I didn't really want to separate it out and damage all this because I didn't have enough metal from this patch panel to go all the way up. So I just cut it and then tried to match it the best I can or could, and it turned out okay. I kind of sectioned this up and spread it up. It's a little bit higher. I think the beads are about the same height as the original though. You can see the body line, maybe. Looks good. And everything else, had to use this jack with a board to press up on this bottom edge to get it to raise up high enough to match the old body line. I probably need to spend more time pre-bending. Get out of here, cat. The rocker panel to fit the original before actually putting it in there. But overall, I think it's going to turn out good. Update for the night: I got the back panel cut out and tacked in with just a few spot welds here and there. Fit nicely. And I had a rust spot back in here, so I went ahead and trimmed it longer and kind of rolled it over. I haven't drilled the bottom yet for the spot welds, but you can see I can get it. It's straight and it should line up well. Hopefully the doors will line up to it. So that's the update. Ready to work on the other side. Next couple days, I think my paw is coming up on Friday, so we'll see what progress we get there. All the rust in this side. We ended up taking the main structural piece out. It was very rusty in this back corner and also on top here. Way rustier than the other side. The other side was slightly pitted, just in spots, but this was like rusted through in a lot of places. And when we were at it, we might as well just keep going. This side was actually in decent shape. I don't know if I have the piece laying around here, but You can see some pinholes back here though that I didn't see before, but I did patch it up in there. You can kind of see it where I patched it before. So just trying to decide if I want to keep going, but it's time to add all this metal back in. Did go and buy some thicker gauge sheet metal so we can bend these new braces, which was maxed out on the brake. 16 gauge, 4 foot long pieces. So I got that bent with help of him. And so those will probably overlap or butt weld them, not sure yet. Like that. And they'll go on the back side. So I'm going to start with those. And then I'll have to make the centerpiece with the 90-degree bend straight down again for both sides. And then also we save this piece, which is this vertical structure, and it'll have to be shrunk down to have that S curve brought in there and tie it all back together to this point. I broke down, went ahead and cut it out, and I want to show you the piece that I cut out. And it has a fracture there. You can see the fracture, and it's also, you can't hardly see it, you can see this fracture right there, right at that body line or the bend, and then also fracture there, and then another one right there. So really the piece is just starting to be junk. You can see where I patched it in already. I went ahead and straightened it out. So I'm going to try to make this whole piece from this front to back, wherever it's at, there, new. And I'm going to make a cardboard panel and kind of figure out how I need to bend it and stretch it. This is where I'm going to end it for the night. I got my cardboard pattern started. You can kind of see where it needs to be here. And I'll have to stretch in this area. I got my top flange. It's hard to kind of describe, but I traced it out on my piece of 18 gauge. Got my bend on for the top piece made, and then it'll be tacked here. And this will have to have a curve that way and stretched in this area so it can go back and shift back this way. So, and also it'll be bent at a 90 here, but then it'll blend back in right around here somewhere. So I have to do the same for the back. Starting to get the step panel fitted. Cut the back to match this flange, but I still got to straighten it out and then rebend it because it's shallower down here. I did get this piece in here. It's welded in. I did have to cut it and make it two pieces because I started to get a fracture here. I just couldn't get it stretched enough to stop that fracture. So I just went ahead and cut it along that. And if it's good, I haven't tacked this back piece in yet, but I kind of have to work all at the same time, really, just to get everything right before I start fully welding everything together. Wrapping up tonight with it not looking like I got much progress, but I did. I cleaned up where I'm going to weld here and cleaned up the back and started fitting it, which it'll fit pretty nice. I'm going to put it on here and show you guys real quick. If I was going to do this again, I have to take the advice my dad had, but didn't ask him before I started all this. Really, I should have just made this all new, just one bend versus patching and scabbing. But can't go back now. You can only go forward, and this is what I got. So I'm gonna try to make it the best I can. I think this side will fit well. Just cleaning up the welds is the tough part. So here's what the pieces look like so far. I need to go ahead and break this piece or this bend sharper, and then go ahead and bend this progressively down until I get to match this. But it's gonna look pretty good once it's all in there. Everything's fitting nicely. I still need to tuck it in here. This will be flush. The front will be flush too. And I think the back, usually, or the other side, it went under, and that's what I have right here. Just sitting there right now. So it should be pretty smooth once it's all done. And that would wrap it up. Once I get this thing, hopefully tomorrow, welded up. So I may start cutting this out if I want to finish it off later. So that's a wrap. The passenger side is officially welded solid. I still need to spend some time to grind all the welds down, but wanted to stop and show you guys how it came out. Looks pretty straight. You can see where I kind of had to fit it, and this actually was a lot harder to fit on this side than the other side. Had to do a little bit more tweaking, but overall I'm happy with it. So I lowered the body back on the frame because I'm going to do the last bit of fabrication before I can start seam welding or seam sealing all this firewall and body. And that's going to be that steering column mount bracket that goes above and angles back to the existing firewall structure. So that would be the next job. Evening update. I'm starting to work on the original dash, and I need to make the mount for the pedal assembly to the new Dodge, I guess the old Dodge firewall. But I put the pedal assembly in there, and it actually fits really well with the old dash. Went ahead and cut it out and rolled it back to fit. But you can see what the right side is going to look like, and then the bottom plate is going to bolt up to that. If I can get my phone in here. So, good stuff. So we got this mock-up on the left side fitted, and more flanges to be made. I need to add one for this panel, but I think it's ready to be taken off and brought to metal. And I think I'm going to bend these two edges first and then work on these bends for the flanges after. Got my welding hat on and my welding jacket, ready to go. On the steering column mount, or the pedal assembly mount, got it all welded in. So it's solid. I'm gonna leave the pedal assembly out for now. I do have quite a bit of rust up in here to fix that I saw, and I poked through here. So there's some more rust stuff to fix. And I did see a big mouse nest up through here, and that's what rotted this all out. So this is all gonna have to come out too. But I'm not too concerned about it right now. I wanna get the floorboard straightened out so I can start undercoating it and get the body on the frame for good, hopefully. So I need to work on moving the seat back and putting the seat belts in back there. So this is the driver's side. It's kind of what I started with. You can see the two holes and the slot up here where the seat goes. This is what I ended up with. You can see how far back, 6 inches, there's this hole. Now it's here, 6 inches back. And I cut that big slot, which is not needed for anything. I don't know why it was there. Cut it out, and then I have it pretty much flush on the back side. Just used some angle iron that I had laying around. It doesn't look the best, but I'll get it painted up and it should look all right once it's complete. I thought I was gonna have to weld some tabs underneath, but I can't get there because there's a support right there. So I just use some rivet nuts, and I'll put 2 rivet nuts back here, one here, and then one through here. The rear seat is in. I might have to do a little bit of adjustment on the brackets yet, but it looks like it's going to have enough space for passengers in the back. I kind of wish I would have lowered it. It's actually sitting probably an inch higher than the front seats. And in the back window, I can see part of the seat. But when I lift up the seat, it looks good, got enough space, but the back, it drops down. So I should have looked that over a little better, but I think it's going to work good. I am kind of worried about the load on these as far as the torsion goes. You can see if I pull on it, maybe not. Let's sit it down again. It's trying to pick up in the back. So I might have to, didn't really want to have to, have force pulling on the threads. So I might have to put another one down here so it has shear force instead of pulling on that thread. But we'll see. Finish it up and get it solid and see if it'll work.